Hey everyone, Brendan Sander here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds. This is where I like to collect together all the different things that I've picked up over the past week, present it to you guys out there, hopefully turn you on to something new and or maybe just remind you about something cool you got in your own collection. So I've got 15 CDs to run through with you guys. We'll do that here in just a bit, but before we start, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this with New Music Finds, where we're talking about a little bit of everything. And as always, I like to kick off with new releases. So if you're new to this episode, new to my channel here, the New Music Finds that I do each week aren't just the stuff that I pick up, regularly in record stores or whatever. It also has the latest new releases that I picked up from the previous Friday. So I always do that right at the beginning. I'm one of those ones who absolutely loves new material from my favorite bands. So out of all the stuff that I ever get, it's those new releases that are my favorite things to be going through with you guys. It's one of the reasons that I have the What Just Dropped series talking about new releases, and I have my music news roundup talking about the music news of when those new albums are coming out, because I want you guys to know about all that great stuff. So as I said, I like to kick off with new releases. Let's do that right here. And the first one up that was kind of a major one, the brand new Doobie Brothers album, Walk This Road. So this one here has Michael McDonald returning for the first time in 45 years, appearing on a whole album. Whereas in the past, he had guested on an album here or there type stuff. He has been a member of the group since 2019, which is what made it so strange when in 2021 they released this, Liberté, and he did not appear on this. This one, see the three guys there, Tom Johnston fronting on vocals. Patrick Simmons also sings, but the main guy having been Tom Johnston. So this was really an album that focused on these three guys, John McPhee being the other one. Now, we've got those same three guys with Michael McDonald returning, arguably becoming the most famous one outside of the lineup, and certainly taking the band to new heights when he was there. But he also introduced the R&B and soul sound more so than they already had in the band lineup at the time. So I've always been a Tom Johnston fan. Having him back, I sort of feel like I'm getting half of a Tom Johnston album. I really liked this one here. This one rocked a lot more. This one here, of course, rocks, but veers into that more soulful side of things. It's growing on me, and it might turn out to be a great album after I've lived with it for a while. But at least right now, it hasn't wowed me and it hasn't blown me away. A few of the songs have. The first single that came off this, Call Me, I really like. But the rest of the album hasn't really lived up to that, in my opinion. But there you go. Brand new Doobie Brothers out now. And if for some reason you never checked out Liberté from 2021, highly recommending that. Okay, another new one that came out is the band A to Z. And if you like progressive metal, this is a band for you. If you like Fate's Warning, this is a band for you. We got two members, one current, one former member of Fate's Warning in here, Ray Alder, the vocalist of Fate's Warning, and then Mark Zonder on drums, who previously drummed with them, who's off with the band Warlord, but he's kind of one of those drummers who's journeyman, who's been around and played in a lot of different bands. And so this is really Mark Zonder's band where he brought in Ray Alder, but those are the two main guys here. Really good stuff. If you didn't check out the first one, this is another one. Go back and check out the first album from A to Z. And it might be, so sometimes a little hard for this stuff to come up when you're searching for it. So it is the letter A dash Z. And the name of the album is the letter A to Z. Because it is their second album, and so that's how they're doing it. But this one here, really good. I haven't dug into it too much, but it's equally as good as the first one. And I think if you dig that, dig progressive metal and dig Fate's Warning, you're going to like this, and I would recommend picking that up. All right, so here's one that I didn't immediately like when I first heard it. Took some doing to even find a copy of it. Finally got it, and it has actually blown away all expectations now that I finally have it. Quartz 6. So it is their sixth studio album. It is their third new one, I think, since having reunited in the, I don't know, maybe about 10 years now, about 2015, 16, somewhere in there, I think they got back together. The band was most notable for having had Jeff Nichols on keyboards, who of course would go on to Black Sabbath and be a long-term support member, never really having become a full member of the group, although next to Tony Iommi, the serving member person in the band out of everyone else. But he passed away around 2019, give or take, maybe 2020. And so this one here does not feature him, although he did write or co-write two of the songs that they're doing on here. They do have two previous albums since reuniting that had him on it. And I always felt like Jeff Nichols was an unsung hero of Black Sabbath. So if you liked the Black Sabbath era that he was a part of, Quartz is a great band for you because it's more of that sound. Tony Iommi, I think, produced or assisted with in some manner their first album. There's a lot of Black Sabbath connections to the band Quartz. And this one here, I first found streaming, didn't even know that it had dropped. And then, like I said, took a long time to finally get it. Amazon wasn't able to do it. I finally had to go through a third party to get it. And when I finally did get it, like I said, I had not been really excited about the overall album when I had streamed it, but it by far exceeded that once I got it. You know, I don't know what it is, but sometimes when, just wanting to turn off the sound of my computer so you don't hear more of those dings going on, email arriving. You know, sometimes you hear things streaming wise, or at least I do, and it doesn't really hit me. And then I get the album and it's in my hand and I'm holding it, I'm looking at it, I'm feeling it, you know, I'm opening it, I'm seeing who's in the lineup. I also have to say this, Jeff Bate is back on lead vocals, taking over from the original guy. I think he just stepped down, stepped away. But this is the guy that recorded their third studio album. And I forget the name of that one, but it's a very good one in the 80s. So even though they have a new lead vocalist, he is somebody from back in the day coming back. And so it's a really cool thing. It's kind of all the way around. There's some very cool aspects to this particular release. But like I said, having it, holding it, looking at it, reading who's in the lineup and listening to it, I would say the first song, Insomnia, doesn't really do it for me. So it's starting with the second track, Come Hell or High Water, and then just going all the way through the album. So if the first track of this doesn't hit you, don't stop there. Go to a second, go to a third. I always recommend that for anyone. If the first track doesn't hit you, always at least go to the second track. I am one of those ones that the first track needs to grab me and hold me, but there are those times where they're just kind of okay. And then after that, I don't know what it is, but it gets really good. Quartz is one of those bands that did that. So loving that album. If you've been a Quartz fan, you like new wave of British heavy metal, they're a cool band that's still going today. All right, I've been talking a lot about this label recently, Dying Victims Records, and this new release from them called Hyena, or the band is Hyena. I think this is, has a title, About Rock and Roll. And I'm pretty sure this is their debut album. But again, if you like that traditional heavy metal crossed with hard rock and new wave of British heavy metal sounds, that's what a lot of the bands from the Dying Victims record label is all about. So I've been talking to you guys about this a lot recently, showing one every other week or so. I'm up to about 10 of these now, a bunch of them from this year, 4 or 5 already. But just really, really liking the label. I think the label is out of Germany. I've had to import some of these from Germany, but I think the label might be out of Germany. Could be wrong. but they're not local. It's not US. It's not something like that. So it is a bit harder to come by these things. If you have a local record store that's big into metal, maybe they can start bringing it in. I know one Princeton Record Exchange always seems to bring their stuff in, and I actually find a lot of it there. But now that I know more about the record label, I'm just ordering it outright when it releases. And that one, when it released, I ordered it, but same sort of thing. Had to take a while to do it. I think ultimately I ended up doing third party. And a lot of these things, a lot of these imports, that's what I'm having to do. I went to importcds.com for that one. They're a great label outside of going to Amazon and record store or, record label direct or artist direct. But if you don't know importcds.com, they're really great. Okay, so I did also pick up some other stuff. Those were my new releases. Let's see. So last week I had the week off, so I bought a bunch of stuff, meaning I went out to a lot of record stores. One of the things that I had found was, I think this is the third studio album from the band, The Nice, simply called Nice. I was really heavy into Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And the only reason I had even picked this up, I probably would have bypassed this, was I'd gone over to a friend's house, Joe. You guys have seen him in some of my Let's Go to the Record Store videos, but I was over hanging out at his place, having a beer, and I saw this on his wall. Keith Emerson and The Nice, absolutely the best. And I thought, hey man, can we throw this on? I'm currently into Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Never really checked this band out. I want to hear what they sound like. And this release blew me away. There's a couple pop songs on here that didn't really do it for me, but when they start jamming and getting into stuff, and especially their live performances, really, really good. And so this I had to order off of eBay. And I think I had this on order already at the time that I found this. So I got this early, got to enjoy it, and then was waiting for this to arrive. But this here has turned out to be the really great thing. So far, I haven't really found a consistent sound on their albums, but of course, this being a best of, they're gonna pull the best stuff out, and this is just good stuff. Again, if you like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and you wanna hear some Nice, this is the way to go. It's on Immediate Records. I got that. And then last week's new release, or one of them, Garbage, let all that we imagine be the light. Very cool release. If you didn't catch last week's episode, this cool slipcase that's on it like that, I like. Cool thing like that. But anyways, I really enjoyed this release because it has kind of a throwback synthwave 80s feel to it. And so, of course, that just made me pull out all my Garbage stuff. And I don't have a lot, but I did have a couple of their last new albums. And I have one from maybe going back to, 2010, 12, somewhere in that range. And then I have the previous album, but I didn't know that I was actually missing this one. So I was missing one of their newer albums since getting back together. And this one here, Strange Little Birds. And it was one of those ones where it's not readily available. I couldn't just go on Amazon. And I said to myself, you know what? I bet Sound Exchange will have it. Anthony Covielli, his store, is always really good at having those older releases that they've just had in stock since it originally came out. They're just so jam-packed with CDs. What's worrisome is I'm buying so much of that stuff. I am that guy buying those really old, this one here, 10, 15 years or however long it might be since that came out. But some other stuff that I go in there to buy, I just picked up a Dennis DeYoung on Broadway release, 10 on Broadway, that I'm quite sure has been there for the 35 years since that originally came out, I think in around 1990. So, that one, so I see it as something where I'm slowly buying off all that stock from Sound Exchange. Now they are getting used stuff in, and some of that stuff's still sealed, and then he puts that out in the regular sections because it is new. And so I guess some of that stuff, the stock is being replenished, but I do worry that someday I will have bought it all. Anyway, staying on the Garbage thing, another one that I couldn't find that is a little pricey out there is a group called Angelfish. And if you recognize her, then you know she is the lead singer from Garbage, Shirley Manson. This was her band before Garbage. I think this came out in 94, maybe 95, and was a band effort. Put this out, didn't really go anywhere. I've seen it forever. It's an iconic album cover, and maybe once upon a time I did know that that was Shirley Manson, but I think I just always was captured by the image, by her image. She's a beautiful woman. The colors, having seen it back in the day. So I knew that I had seen a copy at Sound Exchange. And sure enough, on the used wall was this. And so I didn't have to pay an arm and a leg. I got it. And I have to say, maybe out of all the Garbage stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of Garbage, but I do like their stuff. Saw the band back in the day. I actually think I like their newer stuff better than I like the original era of the band. But I have to say, at least right now, I am loving this. This is more of a rock band, an alternative rock sounding band, as opposed to more of the industrial, synth-infused, keyboard-laden, even pop-sounding stuff that is Garbage, in their music. And, so it's just a different thing. It's just that, she rocked a bit more there than ultimately in Garbage, but having more success with Garbage. So there's that. If you didn't know that, yeah, that's a cool little find there. Glad that I was able to get that. And something, again, that I had to order off of eBay, and I think that this may be my final album that I needed for the collection from Timothy B. Schmidt, is simply the album called Timothy B. And this one is 1987 on MCA Records. And I have to say, it doesn't really hold a candle to the album that I had pulled out and was just jiving on, Tell Me the Truth, which this one here was I'm thinking it's 1991, but it's a little hard to see the date on the back. It's so tiny. And obviously I've gotten up there in my years, and now I'm going to have to start remembering to grab my glasses in order to do these episodes. I do wear glasses now, but it's a very, very new thing for me. Up until about a year or two ago, I had 20/20 perfect vision, and then all of a sudden it just plummeted. The joys of getting older, right? But anyway, this one here, I think this is the only one I didn't own, and I was really grooving on that album in particular and some of his newer stuff. So I sought this one out and bought it, and it was 20 plus, give or take. Wasn't too bad, but I got a copy of it. It's a little more pop than I would like it to be, but at another time, I'll pull it out. It'll probably be the absolute most perfect thing. And if you don't know who Timothy B. Schmidt is, he's the bass player in the Eagles. He was the last bass player before they went on hiatus, quote, broke up, before reuniting in 1994, I think it was, for the Hell Freezes Over era of the band. And then he's been the bass player ever since with them. But he's had a long solo career, probably more famous for all the albums that he has guested on, singing backup vocals, harmonizing vocals, because he's just was one of those in-demand guys throughout the 80s. So one of those guys that I would open like lots of glam metal albums and see his name in there and think, oh, wow, that's really cool. How did they get such a big guy? Didn't really know that he didn't really have hits on his own. In fact, this one here has his biggest or highest charting hit, the song Boys Night Out, which I actually don't think is a very good song. And if you want to check something out by him, I would tell you to check out this album here and the title track, Tell Me the Truth. But the first album that I bought by him, that I bought just because I was a fan of the Eagles and the Hell Freezes Over at the time, and I think he was the first to put out a solo album since they had reunited. So I picked this one up here, which is Feed the Fire, and the opening track on here, The Shadow, which is a pretty mellow track, but good nonetheless. And that one just really grabbed me. And then I kind of lost track and didn't keep up with him for a very long time until his most recent solo album, which might be 2023, somewhere around there. And it just hit me hard. It was so good. So I've since gone back and fleshed out my Timothy B. Schmidt catalog because of that. And like I said, this one, the Timothy B album, I think being the final one that I needed to own. Okay, so Don't know if this video is aired yet. Probably should have, but I got sent a care package from Kenyon Records, home of the new Love Hate album, and they sent me along with picture disc, LP, digipack version of the CD, and I already had the jewel case edition, the shirt. So while no additional music on that stuff, all very cool to get it and have it. But of course, the thing that I really, really enjoyed was getting this shirt, because I did not have a Love Hate shirt or Jizzy Pearl shirt in my collection. And you know how much I love wearing related shirts to what it is that we're talking about. And if you haven't already noticed, the one that I'm wearing here, and you don't follow me on Facebook, then you probably have no idea what this is. But I've been working on shirts for the channel here. And so if you can't quite see it in there, that is essentially a B and an S together, kind of growing out of that CD, you know, smoke coming out of the middle of it. And so my initials with the CD as reference to this channel. So sort of a logo, if you will, because I don't have a name like Sea of Tranquility to come up with something, or Grant's Rock Warehouse, or the Prog Corner. Those are some of the guys that I collaborate with on other channels. So it's been a little difficult coming up with a, you know, I don't know, logo or whatever you want to call it. But this is the one that I've worked out. I've got a couple additional ones. And so this is a test print. I don't know if this will be the color of the shirt, or if this will exactly be the art or not, but I just got it in the mail. I got 3 different ones. And so I thought, hey, I'm going to wear in this video for you guys. And certainly, you know, weigh in and comment whether or not you think you might be interested in purchasing one of these. You guys know the company, the t-shirt company that I partner with, and I show their product on the channel from time to time. And I'm always rave about them, because I was a fan of this company long before I worked with them. I actually reached out to them because I like working with companies that I know, that I can respect, and that do really good products. So Societies, and it's spelled with the T-E-E, you know, Society-E-E. Societies, like that t-shirt kind of thing. And so I've actually partnered with them. So if you like their product, and you know how soft their shirts are and how well they hold up, that's who's going to be making these. It's going to be really easy for you to go over and place an order there, and then they'll ship to you direct, that kind of thing. But all that information will come later on down the line, once I have finalized everything. Probably went into it a little bit too much there, but I'm excited. I could not. All right, and the last thing to run through here is a bunch of CDs that I had gotten from Bad Reputation Records, who also sent essentially a care package. But I've been working with them, bought a bunch of their stuff over the years. Same thing, I reached out to that label and asked if they'd like to collaborate together. And they've let me select some stuff to show you guys, and then they threw in some cool stuff. One of the ones that they threw in that I didn't really know anything about was the band Glider. And so this band here is an Irish band. I think they formed around 2011, 2012, and they very much sound like Thin Lizzy. And I guess you get that too if you're an Irish band, and Thin Lizzy being an Irish band, but they've not only toured with them, they used to be called Hollywood. So a lot of connections and tie-ins to the band Thin Lizzy. No member connection or anything of that nature, and really, really good stuff. Chris Sangries, and I apologize if I butchered that name, famous for having worked with Iron Maiden, I think Judas Priest, can't think of some of the other ones, I think Thin Lizzy. But musically on here, definitely a cool cross between Judas Priest, Iron Maiden sounding as if they were more of the hard rock vein, and then definitely hear a lot of the Thin Lizzy vibe to this. But this turned out to be really, really cool. And this is the debut album, which is on the Bad Reputation Records label. So he just threw that in because I had been talking about Thin Lizzy in one of my previous videos. And he said, hey, have you ever heard this band? And I said, I kind of know of them, but, you know, never really listened to them, sort of thing. And I didn't think much of it, but he threw a copy in. And now I am so glad that he did. So thank you, Eric. Really appreciate you throwing that one in, because That is so good. I'm definitely going to be hunting down more from the band Glider. And here's another one he threw in that I wasn't aware of. I had seen this album cover, but I don't know that I was ever able to find enough info to make it be something for me to figure out who he is. But Jack Green, Human-esque is the album. I think this is his debut solo album from 1980. Reissued here, of course, Bad Reputation Records. I like how they did the logo in green just to fit the vibe of this. So this guy has played with Thin Lizzy, Thin Lizzy, T-Rex. Don't think it was Thin Lizzy. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember now. I looked it up, but definitely with T-Rex and some other group. So he had small stints with these other groups, and then ultimately went solo in 1980. Richie Blackmore appears on here, so it should tell you something about the quality of the playing on here if you can get Richie Blackmore to guest on your album. But really good stuff, kind of in the vein of the Down to Earth album, which I also think is 1980, 79 or 80, from Rainbow. But it's kind of in that more pop rock vein. It's rock, but definitely hear the pop elements of it that would have gotten it onto radio. This thing here really caught my ear. I've already ordered his second studio album, which is also Bad Reputation Records. I mean, that's how Eric gets me. He sends me some stuff like this, and then I just turn around and order the stuff that I want. I mean, I probably could reach out and just ask him, but I don't mind. I mean, he's nice enough to send me what he's sending me, and I want this other stuff, and if it's readily available, I just go order it and get it, So he's making tons of money off me. He might be sending me stuff, but he's also got me ordering stuff from his label as well. And I'm just that kind of a music nut. I got to get it. I got to collect it all. I'm going to hunt it down. However it is I can get it, I can get it. All right. So this next one, though, was the one that when I was on his label, I just couldn't even believe that I'd never heard about this band. Teaser, this is their self-titled album. It's got totally a killer 1980s vibe, or late 70s, 80s vibe to that cover with the girl, her pants unzipped, a lizard, right? We know its connotations, but it's the self-titled 78 album. That guy right there is Adrian Vandenberg, and the rest of the guys here are the band Vandenberg, just under the name Teaser in 78. So this is also a painting by Adrian Vandenberg, who did all the art for the band Vandenberg. But I just love that this guy's such a talented artist, both musically and art-wise. But I never knew about this. I like the band Vandenberg. I like Adrian Vandenberg. And I had no idea that he had a band before that called Teaser, and that their album was in print. So might have been something that years ago I looked into, and there was nothing readily available, and I just sort of glazed over it at that point and forgot about it. Obviously, I've been doing this for more than 35 years, so that's, I can imagine that can happen with me. Newly remastered, it sounds good. It basically sounds like late 70s era, very early 80s era White Snake. It's the more bluesy hard rock than what Vandenberg became or what White Snake became, but you can hear in this why David Coverdale liked him so much. Okay, one of the other ones that I just took a chance on was the Dixon House Band from Seattle, Washington, a sort of prog pop band, in the prog vein, mixing Styx and Kansas, and that's how they were described. And I gotta say, I totally hear it in here. That is a really good description of what you're gonna get from this album here, which is called Fighting Alone. Came out in 1979, so reissued here. Dixon House is the keyboard player, which is how they get the name Dixon House Band. But this also really wowed me. I've enjoyed it. I pulled this out a whole lot. I would say right now, out of all the things I'm going to show you, these three things here, the Dixon House Band, Jack Green, and Glider, turned out to be the stuff that really hit out of all the great stuff that was sent. This one here, Canadian melodic metal group called Strikeforce, self-titled, their one and only album. Just what you'd expect, though. It's 1984. Look at the guys there. It's going to sound like you'd expect. from classic sort of 1984. I say melodic metal because it's not as heavy as you might expect, but it is in the metal vein. It's just got a bit more melody and stuff to it than, some other stuff. Okay, this next one here, very cool stuff. Melvin James, never heard of this guy before, just saw the album cover, saw that this album, The Passenger, was 1987. And, I'm definitely one of those guys that I see an 80s looking album cover and I want to know what it is. And I'm hoping that it's going to sound like the 1980s stuff that I love. And this is that. Originally came out on MCA Records. It's produced by the Eagles Eagles producer, Bill Zimick. And again, apologize if I'm butchering that name. There's a whole bunch of extra consonants in there that I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce, but that gentleman who worked with the Eagles, and I forget who else, because he's worked with a lot of people, but big name guy that I thought if he's working with Melvin James, then Melvin James, at least this album's got to be worth something. Not wrong at all. It's definitely sort of melodic rock style stuff of the 80s. It's a little more pop. It's even a little bit of new wave style sound thrown in on it. So if you can kind of imagine keyboard laden rock of the 80s with a little new wave twist to it and leaning on the pop side of things, that's where this is. Can't really think of an artist specifically to relate it to, but I would say that definitely the solo album era of Eagles members more than the Eagles themselves sounding. So this is not the folk and hard rock sounds of the Eagles that we know. This is the 1980s style sounding stuff from those guys. But interesting nonetheless. Well, one that I got that didn't really hit with me yet, now it might do it much later on, is this one here, Ronjo Dert. And I, again, don't know if I'm saying his name. It's spelled Goedert. Breaking all the rules. This one here I think was like, I want to say it was late 70s. I didn't write the date down in front of me, so fortunately I don't have it. But bottom line is I saw the band was from Tampa, Florida. I grew up in the Tampa area from Clearwater, Safety Harbor. So I'm a Florida boy. They were part of a band called White Witch, or I should really say the singer was from the band White Witch, who put out albums in 72 and 74. Around 78, when this was supposed to come out, they were going to do a third White Witch album, and their record label Polydor shifted it over to his name. They weren't happy about that. Who knows if it would have done any better under the name White Witch. Unfortunately, this sunk without a trace, but it's definitely in the more sort of glam rock style vein of things. And the vocals on here, a little bit like Justin Hawkins of The Darkness, so a bit over the top in my opinion, hitting those high notes. I'm kind of flipping it over because I'm trying to show you what they look like to give you a vibe on there. A lot of times the bands in the 70s and 80s, the way they look, the way their album covers were, really told you a lot about bands. Not so much today. You can sound like anything and look like anything and it doesn't matter. But back then, when album covers and photographs of the band were really the only way to tell what an artist sounded like, they did focus on that and tried to give that representation. And so that's why I love pulling albums like that ran under the radar and stuff. And so he's in some other great stuff. I really haven't dived into it all yet. I think it was a total of 13 CDs. So we'll see if any of those hit hard. And if they do, I'll show those again and talk more about those next week. But right now, those are the ones that I'm really enjoying. And I wanted to talk to you about again. Even if you saw that video, you know it was brand new to me at that point. I had not listened to any of this stuff. And so these here were ones that just really were good and ones that I want you guys to know more about, because maybe you want to head over to Bad Reputation Records and check this stuff out. And if you did watch that previous video, then you know that if you put in this code right here, Brendan001, that the owner, Eric, will throw in another CD. So the same way that I got a stack of stuff that I asked for, he threw in a bunch of extra stuff like that glider and the Jack Green that just totally wowed me. So you might get something thrown in that you don't know anything about and yet turns out to be amazing. He might throw in a compilation where you can check out a bunch of different things. Who knows? But he did say that he wants to know who from the channel is coming over there so that he can treat them right and do the same sort of thing for them. So Eric seems to be a really good guy. I've not met the guy. We've only texted and emailed. But so far, I'm really digging his attitude about how it is that he goes about reissuing the music, the stuff that he finds. He seems to have a great taste in music, just like the stuff that I like. So I'm really enjoying it. I probably have, I don't know, somewhere between 40 and 50 Bad Reputation Records albums. I'm going to have to make a video, I think, just of my Bad Reputation Records collection. And it's not all stuff from what he sent. I would say 2/3 of it is the stuff that I bought. And then I've got other stuff that he sent as well. But what a great label. And I'm not, again, just not saying it because I'm now working with the guy, but I really, really did like the label in advance and what they do. So I know a lot of you guys do too. When I'm on Pete Pardo's channel, Sea of Tranquility, and Grant's Rock Warehouse with Grant Arthur, and even, again, Scott Ladd from the Prog Corner, we all throw out different labels that we like a lot. You all hear us talk about labels like Rock Candy Records, Wounded Bird Records, and other ones. Bad Reputation Records is one I know I throw out there a lot because they're so good. FNA Records is another one. So many great ones out there that are doing this reissue of all these lost albums that came out, ran under the radar, and disappeared. And if you're fans of that kind of stuff and you're not liking the new music that's out today, this is a great way to still get new music that's at least new to you, even if it's old in the sense that it came out years ago. So anyways, 15 albums there. 4 of those were brand new ones. I hope you found something amongst all of this to get excited about. And like I said, I'm going to be continuing to develop a shirt, logo, and everything for this channel. And if anyone's interested, you're going to have an opportunity to go pick up these shirts and help not only promote the channel, but also just share in the community aspect of what it is that has been created here on this channel with all you guys who tune in, comment, and ones that I've met, and just all great stuff like that who, are interested in it. I want to, have that sort of unifying logo symbol that says, yeah, I know that channel. I'm a CD fan too, right? Okay, guys, have a great one. Take care, and I'll be talking to you real soon.